Hello, this is, let's just call this part two about Kratom and Me. Um, Now, if you haven't watched my first video, I'm a 64-year-old man, relatively good health other than I have the family curse of osteoarthritis. Now, the osteoarthritis has led me to Kratom. And if you want to know a little bit more about that, look for Kratom and Me part one. But I wanted to explain how I started taking Kratom, and I'll add in the little bits of how it's helped me and stuff. But when you research Kratom and you find out that Kratom is a powdered leaf, so it's this fine powder that are the leaves from trees, that Kratom trees that grow in Indonesia and in all different areas of Indonesia. So when you first read about it and you research it and you come to your own conclusions and you say, oh, I think I'm going to try that for my pain and everything. Some of the first ways you think, well, how am I going to take this powder? It's not really a tasty thing. It's ground up powdered leaf. So it's kind of like eating grass. I don't think there's any redeeming quality to it. It's not naturally sweet or tasty. There's a little bitterness to it, and it's like grass and dirt. It's not great. I'm happy I take it, but it's never going to be a fun thing to take in the sense of flavor. So when I first read about it, there were people that do, the biggest thing I think you hear about in the beginning is people do what they call toss and wash. Now when you toss and wash, I couldn't do it. It's kind of an annoying thing to do. I'm proud of the people that do it and everything. But tossing and washing would be taking a big teaspoon or tablespoon, putting it in your mouth, and then washing it down with something to drink. Somebody that might take 4 or 5 teaspoons because they have bigger problems than me. I don't know how they do it. I tried it. It was terrible. I probably only tried it once, and that was it. And then I started seeing that people would say that they mixed it with chocolate milk. I like chocolate milk, so I'm like, okay. So I put a teaspoon in some chocolate milk. I stirred it up. And the thing about Kratom powder, it doesn't dissolve. It doesn't dissolve in water, juice, chocolate milk, or anything. It's kind of clumpy if you just let it sit there and you don't keep stirring it up. Putting it with chocolate milk to me was just, it was like drinking mud with clumps of mud in it and everything. That was not good. Now, luckily, now that I've been taking Kratom for 2 years, I should also say there are some people that will either make their own capsules or buy capsules of it. And from my understanding of that, if you had to take 2 teaspoons of it, you might have to take 4 capsules or so of it. I just don't want to take that many things. Also, when capsules get in your system, they tend to sit in your stomach until the gelatin covering the capsule dissolves and everything, and it doesn't get into your system as fluidy. Doesn't go as smooth, let's say, as that. So I came upon the idea of putting in with orange juice. And coincidentally, there are some things that supposedly scientifically, but if anything, they call potentiators. And there are things that, like pineapples and pineapple juice, tends to help the alkaloids in Kratom to get into your system better. Like that. Again, do your own research. So anyway, luckily, I like orange juice and pineapple juice. This is good old orange pineapple juice here. What I found is my smoothest way to take it is I would take a teaspoon or 2. Let's just say that's 2 teaspoons. All right. Sometimes you put a little bit more in there if you got room in your little bottle. Oops. Shake it up. Now, I think this is the best way for me to do it. Somebody else might love it with chocolate milk. Somebody else might love doing it with capsules. That's fine. I find that by shaking it up in a container like this and being able to add more to thin it out after I've had some or anything, to me, I mostly taste the juice. Yes, as food people would say, yes, there's a hint of leaf and everything, but it's very bearable to me to put it in my juice. The other quick thing about how I take my Kratom is I've never been a tea drinker or a coffee drinker or anything, but there are things about the alkaloids that are in the leaf, and I don't know, there's something like 28 different components to Kratom that have different values to them. But if you put it in tea, you shouldn't have a temperature higher than 160 degrees or so, because that'll kill some of the alkaloids. It'll just make them, unable to get into your system and work. It'll just kill those alkaloids, for lack of a better word. So if somebody thinks that they want to try it as a tea, the only suggestion I would have is put it in a mild kind of warmth of a tea. Sometimes when I don't have juice, I'll take a small glass and I'll put a teaspoon in, and just with warm water running from the sink, I'll put it in, I'll mix it up with a little spoon, and I'll down it like that. It's okay, but you don't want to have temperatures that are too high and it kills the value of the alkaloids that you're looking to benefit from. So that's how I drink my tea. Sometimes if I'm going to work, I have bigger water bottles than this. I might put 20 ounces of this in there, my 2 teaspoons, and I'll just sip it all morning. I might drink something like this, half of it, and then sip on it, every few hours, just when I'm thirsty. So it's not like you got to gulp down 20 ounces of something right away. Now here's my experience when I first started, because frankly, I did my research. I wasn't afraid of trying Kratom, but I also didn't really know what all this meant to people. There were times in my life where I tried other natural remedies and they just didn't work. Or one time I'd read, I don't know, 25 years ago, I read how great bee pollen is, because bee pollen is wonderful. And all of a sudden, I bought some natural bee pollen, I took it, and like a week later, I felt like I had the flu. And then someone else that I was talking to said, "Oh, maybe you're allergic to bees." I never thought of that. So you have to test it for yourself and try your hardest to be self-aware. Don't let the placebo effect even come into your thinking. Like realize there is a placebo effect, and am I really getting benefits from this or not? So the first couple of times that I took some Kratom, 1 or 2 teaspoons, I felt like the pain from my arthritis was manageable. Maybe that day I said, "Oh, let me try this Kratom because my shoulder and my elbow and everything are hurting me from the inflammatory pain of arthritis." And I drank it, and I thought, you know what, I don't feel as sore as I usually feel and everything. So then I was inspired to say, all right, let me try this again, tomorrow after I do some yard work or something. And I did it gradually, and I found out that it was helping me. And I could tell you to this day, I didn't want to go to work. Before Kratom, I didn't want to take pharmaceuticals, too many weird side effects. I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to play my guitar too much I'm not the depressed type, but that would annoy me to death, because if I want to go practice my guitar in the other room for an hour, I knew that I was going to be sore all the next day from all the the movement, just like this. You don't realize it, but there's so many little joints and things in your shoulder that those things would just bother me. So I started to realize that Kratom was helping me. Now, the other side effect, if we can call it that, I'm going to get in trouble for calling anything a side effect, is that I tended to think, all right, when I'm first going to try Kratom, let me try the most basic Kratom, which is the green strain from the leaf. Meaning, again, do your research, look this up, but the basic 3 leaves that might be on a Kratom tree can have a green vein, a white vein, and a red vein. And it tends to be that white is more energizing, green is more middle of the road, and red is less energizing. They're all generally good for your pain and in general. So I was starting with green leaf when I would order it from the person I would order from. I'd say, well, what's good for pain? And they, oh, why don't you start trying green and everything? Then I realized that I liked other things, and you can blend them, and you can become a connoisseur of Kratom once you learn about it. But the interesting side effect to me was that one of the first times first or second time I took Kratom, I had my teaspoon or 2, and then I wondered, okay, is this going to help my pain or anything? And 4 or 5 hours later, when I was thinking about how my day went, I realized that you know what? I did the dishes, I put a laundry in, I organized some things on my computer, and I paid attention to that documentary I wanted to watch on TV. And what I realized, and you'll see this in your research, that a lot of times there's a subtle little energy that you can get from Kratom also. And it's not, and I'm pretty self-aware, it's not the jittery kind of like, oh, I had too many cups of coffee kind of energy. It's more, at least with me, it's more of a subtle kind of helps your attention span, kind of makes you focus more on what your goals are for those moments in time. My goal was that I probably should have been doing the dishes, but maybe I wouldn't have wanted to. But I kind of like, well, I have time to do it. Excuse me, let me do it. So I've learned that one of the other things that Kratom helps me with is my focus and my energy at times. It doesn't make me run around, like a knucklehead or anything. As many of my friends might say, yeah, it might make me talk more, but I tend to talk a lot anyway. Excuse me. So again, Kratom has been great for me. You have to do your research. You have to kind of decide what's the value for you. It tends to be women. I don't want to get in trouble by labeling people, but it tends to be women that get fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia is another inflammatory pain problem that people have that tends to go through your whole body, similar to arthritis. I'm not a doctor or anything, but I know from talking and texting with people that are on these forums that there's a lot of women who don't want to get out of bed in the morning because of the aches and pains, that, okay, they did all their housework and they did this and that. Now they don't want to move around because they're sore. And Kratom has helped them tremendously too. So without rambling on too much, which leads me to say that there'll probably be a part 3 where maybe I can explain more about the, ordering it and what kind of strains, are good for different things. I'll stop my rambling on for now, but let you know that it's not a hard thing to get into. I keep my containers around, and like this is a green strain. Maybe I'm thinking of doing some yard work tomorrow, and I go, well, you know what? There's a white strain that I like that I bought from my supplier and everything, and I tend to label them and keep a label there. So you can take different strains of Kratom for different things. They're all generally good for me, but do your research. I'll stop my rambling on and be well and I wish you the best.